I just have to tell you that I have just been sitting in my chair. I just couldn't wait to get up here and say hello to everybody and just to say namaste to everyone at this beautiful Wednesday service that all of you have created. It's my joy to be here. Well, we're all on our path, aren't we? We're all on a journey, and we're doing our spiritual practice. And all of a sudden, something unexpected happens. For example, how many people here have had to leave a job that they loved? I have. I wasn't fired. And how many people have been told that they have health challenges? Come on. And lastly, how many people have been advised, sometimes expectedly, sometimes not so expectedly, that they are no longer a girlfriend, or they are no longer a boyfriend, they are no longer a wife, and they are no longer a husband? Okay. So I think I have everybody. What a bummer. Now we're all going to be down and depressed, and it is my joy to bring us back up. Because sometimes, even though we're on a spiritual path and things cross our path that are unexpected, we think, oh, why me? Why is this happening to me? And we take that victim posture. Now, a victim posture is what we all were when we walked into a Science of Mind church. That's where I'm here, I'm the victim, and the universe is doing everything to me. Well, we know that that's not very enlightened. We know that Kingdom One consciousness is not where we want to be. And so tonight I want to have a conversation, well, mostly me doing the talking, but I want to have a conversation about what would we have to do, what would we have to be to feel like we were living God's life. In our teaching, we know that God is all there is, and we know that everything is in divine order. So now we know that when something crosses our path that is unexpected, we know that there must be some lesson to learn. How many people have learned enough lessons? I've learned my lesson. But the lessons, what they do is they put us in a place where we develop character. Isn't that nice? So all these things we're going to have a lot of character, which is good. It's a good thing. It's the good thing that comes out to something unexpected and maybe not so good happening to us. But as we deepen with our character, one thing that we also need to do is to release our attachment. Sometimes I get so attached to the way things should be. And in the same moment, or the next moment, I'm going to a practitioner so I can change the way things are. And yet I'm holding on so tightly. I'm so attached. And here is where I have a story to tell. It's more like a confession. As you know, I am the membership minister here at Seaside, and I'll give a little bit of plug. We have our luncheon that's coming up. We've got 2 new members here in the front who will be at our new member class on Saturday, and we have the luncheon where we're always looking for sponsors, and that's October 24th at the Sage Grill. Okay, done. That's my commercial. But the last luncheon, I thought, I want to give each of the new members a little gift bag. Wouldn't that be great? And I had some things from the bookstore, and I had a book on tithing, and I invited the youth and family ministry to be a part of this. I said, why don't you paint some rocks? Painted rocks. Little rocks with sunshine and rainbows and welcome and joy. little painted rocks. I received a box of painted rocks. Oh my. I forgot about that, Melanie. Oh my God, these rocks were so ugly. I thought, there is depression in youth ministry. It's rampant. They were black and gray. The next thing I know, and I don't remember doing it consciously, but the next thing I know, I was on my way to Carlsbad State Beach, where I picked up some rocks and I took them home and I painted them. You know, painted rocks. Smiley faces, joy, glad you're here, polka dots. An example of my attachment. Was it life-threatening? No. Would some of our members have left if they got those ugly black rocks? Possibly. But it gave me the opportunity to look at other places in my life and where my attachments are and where I'm trying to make things happen. Now, please know too that this has nothing to do with my control issues. Okay? Not at all. Possibly another talk about that. But what I do know is that when we have attachment, it's a symptom that we don't have faith. We don't have faith in the universe or our ability to handle whatever comes up the pike. And so, when we look at the definition of faith, which is the ability to see the invisible, to know that a thing exists before you see it. And I have another quote from Mother Teresa that talks about faith in her book, A Simple Path. And she says, without faith, we are not able to believe in things that are mysteries and that are beyond our capacity to understand. We don't always know how spirit works. And that's a good thing. And it's a mystery. But the mystery cannot be present in our lives when we're attached to what we think we want, when we're attached to what society might think. So faith becomes the life preserver. I just made that up. Faith becomes, because when we step into faith, we don't have to hold tightly to the solutions that we think that we desire. So the faith and the attachment go together. When we step into faith, it's much easier to let go. Without faith, it's just easy to hang on to those painted rocks just exactly the way I wanted them to be. Another thing that we look at when we're desiring to live God's life is how willing are we to remove the things, the thoughts, the ideas, and the beliefs. How willing are we to clear those out and to release them? Now, when you talk about clearing the way or removing something on your path, every good religious scientist has to talk about Ganesh. Ganesh is the Hindu god that's an elephant, and the elephant clears our way by using his trunk. And I have a quote that I have used before from Mary Manon Morrissey, and it talks about that the image of the Ganesh is to teach us about this aspect of God, that when we are aligned with the power of God, God's power and energy goes before us to sweep away any confusion and fear. I don't know what kind of visual that you all get for that. I'm kind of getting some elephants on I-5 or something, kind of clearing the way symbolically. But what a good feeling to know that the confusion and the fear is gone. Why? Because the loving presence of God has gone before me and removed it. And that's why. As far as letting our minds be cleared, our founder, Ernest Holmes, talks in his book, Living the Science of Mind. He says, before God can do anything, we must clear our minds of everything that hinders his doing. We must keep the pipeline open and let the water of life flow down into our living. And isn't that a nice visual? That there is a pipeline, and it is our responsibility to remove all the thoughts and beliefs that clog up the pipeline. And then we allow that God water, that source, to flow into your lives. So the visual I get for this is a huge galvanized metal pipe. And that really doesn't suit me so well. I have always been kind of a white, clear, crystal vessel. Doesn't that sound better than a pipe, like a galvanized pipe? Just pick your vessel, whatever that might be. Pick your vessel and keep it keep it clean. Keep it clean. Keep those ideas and those beliefs that are pulling you away from being in the alignment with God. Allow those to simply dissolve. If you're here for a snippet or one thing that I will teach you from my wide, vast spiritual knowledge, it would be now. So perk up if you've kind of starting to nod off, because this is it. Okay, this is it. This is my new thing. This is what I'm working on. Okay. What happens when I'm walking down my path of life and something crosses my path? Well, what I've been doing, I call it a thing, I call it an opportunity, I call it anything but obstacle. Because when my mind hears obstacle, there's an obstacle, every single neurotransmitter in my brain, starts to create chaos. And I've just found that that's all I do. You know who I learned this thing from a little bit is one of my mentors, Reverend Karen. Everything's an opportunity. But it works. And when it's calling it an opportunity, it doesn't create as much angst. It doesn't create as much discord. And I'll tell you, it's working for me. I have found no obstacles in doing that. So in the Course of Miracles, a miracle is simply a shift in perception. And so we know that a miracle happens in the mind when we get into alignment with Spirit. So the prayer is simply, Holy Spirit, heal me so that I might be aligned with you. Go ahead and repeat that with me. I'll say that in sections. Holy Spirit, heal my mind, that I might be in alignment with you. I like that. Along the same lines, as we are looking at ways that we can live God's life. Well, one thing we have to do is that we have to do our part. So doing our part, that's here, okay? And then doing God's part is here. And God says, you do your part, I'll do my part. Fair? Fair enough? Our God is fair? So our part usually is to change a thought. A little itty bitty thought. Just one belief. That's our part. But sometimes we don't want to do our part. So we go over here, we want to do God's part. We want to run the universe. We want to make changes. We want to cure diseases, create world peace, stop the ozone layer. And that, it doesn't work that way. But sometimes, doesn't it seem like when, but it's just a little itty bitty thought. That's all I have to do. I just have to forgive him. One little thing. Oh, no. So the learning point here is that, that we work on our own side of the road. Okay? We do our part, and as we do that, God does his part. And that's just the way it works. As we look at our willingness to allow life to unfold, this is something that we would truly do if we were living God's life. In order to do that, in order to allow, I love that word, allow. Say it with me. Allow. In order to allow life to unfold, we have to be in the present moment. We have to be looking. We have to be mindful. We have to know what it looks like and what it feels like to be in the flow of life. Now, we all get messages from Spirit in a different way. Sometimes it's our intuition. Sometimes it's that gut level. It might be some wisdom that is gleaned in a meditation. So we all get these messages from different places and in different ways. But we have to be aware of them so that we can follow them. Because these insights, this intuition, those are given to us so that we can be in alignment with God, so that we can have the water of life flow clearly through our pipeline or our crystal vessel. So it comes down to the idea about whether or not we are guidable. Are we going to listen to these messages? If we have an intuition, we're going to talk ourselves out of it. Can we be guided? Because if you're not willing to be guided, guess what? It's great. You don't have to release your attachments. You don't have to remove any obstacles. You don't have to do any of that. Well, why would you do it? If it doesn't matter if you're a clear vessel because you're not guidable. That's another one that I'm working on. Just thought I'd plant that seed. Maybe I don't have to be alone in that. Well, I love the word shepherding. And part of the reason that I love it is that it's not in the dictionary. And that's kind of titillating that it's not in the dictionary. But I use the example of a shepherd in Israel. And a young guy, he probably has about 30 sheep, and they're moving towards the water. All sheep go towards the water, so they're moving towards the water. And the shepherd, he's not cracking the sheep to get going this way. When the one sheep gets away, he just gently nudges the sheep. That sheep is guidable. He just gives a little bit of a nudge. So this gives us the opportunity to look and see, are we guidable? And it's like anything with our minds that we have to really keep track of. We're guidable one moment. You feel being the nudge, you see an open window, the doors close. The next moment, not guidable. How many people have potty trained a puppy? So you got the newspaper, it's all set out there, and the dog's over here and goes to the bathroom, and then you kind of keep bringing them back, and we do that with our thoughts. We're always bringing it back. It's a moment-to-moment decision. Well, what I know is that what happens when we let God, what happens when we release our attachments, we remove the things that are put in our way, and we allow life to just simply, effortlessly flow through us. I know that we are living God's life. And I know that life is perfect. And I know that life is our life now. And I'd like to really anchor this with a chant. If I could have the lights up, please. And if I could have the ushers pass out the little chant things. So we're just going to say this together about 3 times, and I'll say a short closing prayer. The reason this is powerful to me is that everyone at the gathering, there must have been 400 of us, did this together 109 times. The same count, I guess, as prayer beads. So let me say it once, and then we'll just chime in for 3 times. There is just one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There is just one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There is just one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There is just one life. Last time. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Allow your eyes to close, coming fully present, knowing that you are truly living God's life. That our unique expression of who we are each and every day has to be expressed. For it is an expression of God. And so I know that our hearts are open, our minds are open, that we have the willingness to step forward in a greater sense of surrender, knowing that each of us here is guidable, that the loving presence of God is guiding us every moment. And so I am grateful for this time together, grateful to know that the perfection of life runs through each and every one of us. For this and so much more, I am grateful. Please join me in saying, and so it is.